And you guys are like right here on time, ready to go. Rob told me I had to wait. Oh, there he is. I got the double thumbs up from Mr. Anderson in the back. Thanks for being here tonight. My name is Pastor Linda Friesen, one of the pastors here at Hosanna. It is a delight tonight for us to host not only the Hosanna Bells under the direction of Mary Gookins, but also the St. Olaf Bell Choir under the direction of Jill Marr. And we are especially excited about our very own, where is she? Hannah Anderson, where is she? Right back there. She actually started, let's make her be embarrassed, she actually began her bell career right here in this space as a 7th grader. Can you imagine that? Under the direction of Mary. Mary is an amazing director and has invited so many people into the opportunity to play bells. So if you're from the Forest Lake area and you're looking for a place to play bells, right, Mary? We have a spot for you. So talk to Mary, and I mean that seriously. Now, without any further interruption, we're beginning with the Hosanna Bells under the direction of Mary Gookins.
Thank you, and welcome. I'm glad you were able to come tonight. Because this is the first day of Forest Lake spring break, several of my bell players were not able to come. So just like 2 years ago, I went out into the community, and I have 4 different churches represented here today. So it's a community choir, not just a Hosanna choir. We have Tony Haas, who's directing the St. Peter's, and 3 of her people, and I want them to just raise their hands so you know who they're. And then we have Dean Jensen from Faith. He's the director at Faith Lutheran Church. And we have Maddie Fleming, who is a fellow alto with me in the Woodbury Chorus and Orchestra. She lives in Lake Elmo. She goes to church at St. Thomas More in St. Paul, and she's here playing with us tonight, too. And then we have our 4 bell players from Hosanna. and our cellist is from Hosanna as well. So even though for some of the people it was a repeat piece, or these 2 pieces that we're going to play are things that we did before, but they got good reviews from our congregation. For most of the people it was new. They're new. We're kind of going from the beginning to the end. We're doing Mary, Did You Know, a Christmas song, and we're doing Wounded and Afflicted with a cellist, which is a Good Friday song. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
looks like they're still getting ready. So I just want to welcome you here and say we are so happy you decided to come to our concert this evening. I know there's a million different ways you could spend this evening, so thank you for coming here. We are taking our winter tour. We're heading to Naperville, Illinois, and Madison, Wisconsin, and then home to Northfield. So we'll be busy traveling and playing all weekend. We're going to open with Catalyst by Matthew Compton. In his notes, the composer writes that he was excited about the idea that people can be a catalyst for change, especially college students, because he works with them often. These are hard times in our world right now, but I hold hope about the future, because with these students who show me daily, they show me such compassion and empathy and intelligence, I know that they're going to go out and be a force for good in this world. I will be talking between pieces because I make my ringers move around a lot. I want them to go out, and wherever they keep playing, if a person says, I need you to play C and D4, they'll go, I can do that. We don't want to just play two bells the whole time. Next, we're going to play the premiere of Saraband, a student composition by junior Henry Rye. Henry, raise your hand. There we go. I'm making him play up there. I'm making him play up there because that's the hard part. He wrote it. He is a mathematics and performance major from Naperville, Illinois. He is an impressive organist, and he sings in Cantorai on campus. His composition, Saraband, has a constant recurring ostinato in the bass line with subtle changes over the top and some amazingly quick bursts in the treble bells. The Ringers have loved bringing this new music to life. Who knew that the hardest piece we would play would be written by a student? Makes me proud. Whenever you commission somebody, although Henry just wrote this for us, but whenever you have somebody writing for you, you never know what you're going to get. And so it's always really fun. I think Henry is a talented young man. I have him for 1 year, so what do you think the odds are of me getting another piece, maybe? I am always so lucky to have some musicians in my groups that explore their musicality in other ways, and I love to feature them with bells. Senior Ellie Kosek will be joining us on French horn on this next piece. Ellie is from Middleton, Wisconsin. She plays horn in the St. Olaf Band on campus, and she's also their librarian. She's a psychology and Spanish major. In her spare time, she enjoys knitting and photography. I found this charming little pastoral by Bob Burrows, and I thought it was the perfect piece to feature Ellie. A music pastoral is a piece of music that makes a listener think of simpler times. Words like idyllic, simplicity, and bucolic come to mind with this piece. Our next piece comes from Gershwin's 3 Preludes for Piano. This prelude is number 2. The pieces were premiered by the composer himself in 1926 at the Roosevelt Hotel in New York. That would have been a fun thing to hear. The prelude is slow and rich, but a touch jazzy as well. Arranger Bill Mathis, who is a Minnesotan who lives nearby, arranged it, and he uses chimes for some interesting color combinations. Gershwin himself called the piece a sort of blues lullaby. I have one student sitting out on every piece. Somebody went abroad first semester, Hannah Anderson, and when she came back, we didn't want to kick somebody out. So it comes in handy when I'm using somebody as an instrumentalist or something they can step in and ring a part. Our next piece, Four Resonances by William Payne, is a set of theme and variations. It first came out in 1981, years before these students were even born. Composer Bill Payne has been an amazing musical force in the handbell world, as well as the choral world. I remember when I was quite young and new to handbells, I first saw him conduct, and I was so impressed with how musical his approach to handbells was. He conducted choirs and bell choirs at Bucknell University in Pennsylvania at that time. Four Resonances was one of his early pieces, and I always found it engaging. I hope you do as well. There is a group called the Handbell Musicians of America. It's divided into areas. Minnesota is in area 7. I think there's four or five states in that area. They have an awesome tradition of always commissioning a piece for their outgoing chairperson. I believe the chairperson gets to pick the composer-arranger. Our next piece, Built on the Rock, came out of this tradition and honors past chairperson Karen Van Wert. This arrangement was played at our festival last summer in La Crosse, Wisconsin. A festival is where like you're on an arena floor and there's anywhere between like 300 and 400 ringers playing at one time. And so this piece was played by 400 ringers plus about 10 bell trees. It was quite dynamic. It was amazing. Today we'd like to feature Hannah Anderson on the bell tree. Hannah is a senior from right here in Forest Lake, and she majors in Chinese and political science with concentrations in management and Asian studies. Besides bells, Hannah loves to play guitar, mandolin, and kalimba in her free time. So we are especially pleased to do this tonight because we are in Hannah's home church. Thanks for sending her to St. Olaf. During this next piece, we're going to take a free will offering. We have 3 big ambassador groups, they call them, at the college. That would be the top band, top orchestra, top choir, who get funded to tour. But we don't fall under that umbrella, so we need to fill the vans with gas and pay for hotels through our free will offerings. So anything that you can give is very much appreciated. County Down is located in Northern Ireland, adjacent to the Irish Sea. Ireland in general is filled with natural beauty, and County Down gets beauty from the seacoast as well. I've been to Ireland, and I thought it was breathtaking. Charming stone fences, sheep walking down the roads, 80-year-old peoples on bikes were just a few of the things that I adored. The tune of Star of County Down is usually considered a ballad with both sacred and secular roots. Brian Childers gives homage to that ballad in the beginning, but then moves into a faster, lighter, dance-like treatment. On Star of County Down, we're featuring Katie Nail on flute. Katie is a junior church music major. She sings in the St. Olaf Choir on campus, and she works for music organizations on campus and is secretary of the student congregation. Iditarod was originally an orchestral piece, which now has been arranged for bells by Stephanie Berryman. She took this great description from the composer's original program notes. This riveting and explosive new work will take you on a journey through Alaska's harsh landscape with the sled dogs running the Iditarod, known as the last great race on Earth. The Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race stretches over 1,150 miles of Alaska's wild terrain from Anchorage to Nome. The Iditarod race began in 1973. It takes about 10 days to complete the race, although the fastest has ever been has been 7 days. The race was created to save sled dog culture and to honor the teams that used to deliver health supplies and mail in the early days. They often race through blizzards, sub-zero temperatures, and gale force winds. It involves about 50 mushers and 1,000 dogs. I grew up in Duluth, where they host the John Bear Grease Sled Dog Race. We went to see them off sometimes, and it was so amazing to see the excitement in the dogs. They love it. This piece captures that excitement, and then when you come to the beautiful slow section in the middle, imagine gliding across a lake on your sled, the northern lights above, a serene feeling with just the sound of the dog's feet padding on the ice and the sled gliding across. Next, we have something different for you. About 15 years ago, I thought it would be really fun to introduce the ringers in the program to ensemble ringing. We have a J term in January, which means it's a month where they only take one class. Hey, be nice to the bells. Ensembles don't typically meet during that time because a lot of students go abroad during that month. So I thought it'd be a great time to do this. This past January, we had about 25 students playing ensembles. That's like trios, quartets, and about half of our bell choirs signed up. It's really exciting because it improves their skills so much. I meet with them once a month. I teach them the different kind of skills they need, and then they meet twice a week on their own. I coach them once. We meet at the end of the semester, and we play for each other. It's very informal and casual. The skills they use just help their ringing so much, so I'm delighted when they do this. Out of that came a quartet that wanted to continue meeting all the time, and they anointed themselves the Bing Bongs, much to my dismay. It's because people always call us ding-dongs, and yeah, it's too close. But as people graduated, others replaced them, and they have played on concerts, worship service, at St. Olaf off campus, at retirement centers, and they've even coached younger ringers. In this group, we have junior Katie Nail and senior Hannah Anderson, who I introduced before. We have junior Heather Wallace, who is from New York, New York, a junior education major who sings in the Ole Choir. We have Natalie Roebuck, who's a senior, also a music education major from Columbia, Missouri, who sings in Canterbury. I think I said that wrong. From Columbus, Missouri? Yep. Okay. So they're going to be playing an arrangement of Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy by Ho-Sung Park. This dance comes from the second act of the famous Nutcracker Ballet. The choreographer wanted to have the music for this sound like drops of water shooting from a fountain. Tchaikovsky thought the new instrument Celeste would be the perfect fit because it looked like a piano, but it sounded like bells. So what a perfect piece to arrange for handbells. How are we doing? Does anybody have any questions? Sometimes when people watch us play, they have questions. Now's a great time. No? Okay. One of the often asked questions, besides why do they move around so much, is how much do the bells weigh? And so some of the biggest bells down here are like 8, 9, 10 pounds. Yeah. So not everybody likes that. I'm always delighted when somebody goes, I want to ring bass bells. Cool. All right, the Bing Bongs. They might make it look easy, but it is not easy. If one person puts a bell in the wrong place, it's all over, you know? So I'm amazed at what they do. I think it's really fun. Our next piece, Sometimes I Feel Like a Motherless Child, we'd like to feature the tenor saxophone. The piece is a traditional spiritual. The song is an expression of pain and despair as the singer compares their hopelessness to that of a child who has been torn from its parents. This instrumental version is a beautiful lament. We'd like to feature Senior Cole Munson on tenor saxophone. Cole is from East Bethel, Minnesota, not too far. He is a senior math and computer science major. He plays in the St. Olaf Band on campus. He also works for Broadcast Media Services on campus, helping to record chapel services and concerts. In his spare time, he likes to run and make his own hot sauces. Another thing people often ask me if all these kids are music majors. Half of them are music majors this year, and that's more than usual. Some of the music majors are performance, some music education, some church music, but it's a little unusual to have so many in the group. But I also have students with interesting majors like political science, Chinese, Spanish, Norwegian, nursing, psychology, computer science, and mathematics. Our next piece, Hopak, we played this fall for a kids' concert. It was so fun, and we worked so hard on it that I figured we should just keep going. It's originally by a Russian composer, Modest Mussorgsky. It was written for a comic opera. A hopak is a kind of lively dance, and this dance originates in the country of Ukraine. The hopak is considered to be the national dance of Ukraine. That country is suffering right now, and this piece shows a bit of its beautiful culture. The piece is action-packed and delightful. Our next piece, Late Night Blues, is an original piece by Scott Fitzinger, and it follows a blues swing style. It's just sheer fun. Many years ago, I had a dear friend who played in a big band with me. She heard my bell choir at a concert when we were playing in Duluth, and she said, "I was disappointed you didn't play any jazz." So it can take a little effort to get a swing style out of a bell choir because it's not a typical genre that they get to play. I think it's more difficult because as a ringer, you're only responsible for so many notes in a melodic line. You don't get to play all the notes. But I definitely think it's worth the effort. So this one's for you, my friend Mary Lee. before our last piece, I have a lot of thank yous. A tour concert like this doesn't happen without the help of our hosts. So before our last piece, I'd like to thank Rob Anderson, who once again said yes when I asked to come back to Hosanna. I thought he should see his daughter again before she graduates. I'm sure they don't mind seeing her in action. Hosts do PR, they find ushers, they track down music stands and microphones, and they made us a wonderful meal tonight before the concert. They made us feel so welcome, and we're so very grateful. Thank you to Hosanna Lutheran Church for the use of this beautiful sanctuary. And Mary Gookins and the Forest Lakes Area Handbell Choir, we're going to call them, for sharing the concert with us. And I'd like to specifically thank Faith Lutheran Church, because I forgot to bring all the trees that go on all the bells that go on the bell tree. I packed them in a suitcase that belonged to me, and I went out the door and said, I don't need that suitcase till tomorrow. So we got here in a panic, and they came through big time. So thank you. After the concert, please feel free to come up and ask questions. Try a bell or a chime if you want. Thank you so much for being here. Our last piece, we lost a giant in the handbell world this year. His name was Arnold Sherman. He was a prolific composer of many idioms, but especially handbells. He had over 400 published works. He was on the St. Olaf campus early in my career as a clinician, and he was just wonderful. He is missed greatly by the handbell world. We've played many of his compositions and arrangements over the years. Danza Festivo was one of his earlier works. It was written in 1993, and I thought it would be a fun one to end our concert with. See if you can pick out a little of "'Twas in the Moon of Wintertime" in this lively, spirited piece. What a way to round out the concert. They started with some Christmas, and if you can find it, we will too. So thank you very much for coming. for coming. That's all we could learn. No encore. Thank you.